love to pick up and look at rocks. I also rock climb, so I feel like I get a good connection with the rocks. I think they're amazing. I love to touch them.
Great. Wonderful.
Same boat, rock climbing.
Okay, great. Yeah.
I fish for a living. I'm better at fish, so I know when I find the rocks, I found the money.
Well, look here, I ain't got to talk. Y'all got the answers. I'm going home. Next question is, my name is Jim. Middle name is Noah. My middle name, Jim Noah Embry. Anybody here named Noah? Okay. So the idea is, when we get near the end, how much time do I have?
You have until 3:35.
Okay, great. I hope you'll all raise your hand if you're Noah. Here's about rocks. Here's the depth that we've been colonized, bamboozled, lied to, and come back to slow food. I asked you who had with rocks a close connection. Let me ask you this. What makes blood red?
The red blood cells?
Hmm?
Isn't it the red blood cells?
Well, what makes red blood cells red? Anybody know what makes blood red?
Hemoglobin?
What?
Hemoglobin?
What makes hemoglobin red?
The iron.
Thank you, dear. Iron is what makes blood red. Okay? Iron. Now, what makes are your head hard as my head? Okay, my head's pretty damn hard. Okay? My mama say, boy, you always mischievous, you got a hard head. What makes our bones so hard?
Calcium.
Yes. But don't trust my lying ass. Go to Google and do a search on what is bone composed of. Calcium and about 23 other trace minerals. So we're like walking rocks. And thanks to iron, having hemoglobin, if we had magnesium, because if you do a search, hemoglobin and chlorophyll is the exact same chemical formula other than iron and hemoglobin, magnesium and chlorophyll. It'd be plants if we had magnesium. But we're mammals. And structurally, we could be amoebas, or we could be sponges. And we have all these skeletal systems because of rocks. When I asked all you smart students, at Ohio State, if you had a close connection with rocks, but we've been taught, no, them things out there ain't connected to us. They're not a part of us. They're over there somewhere. That's why we have things like slow food. To remind us that food, other than air and water, is the third most essential thing in our lives. And humans spent, I don't know how you qualify humans, we spent 3.5, 5 million years doing what? Hunting and gathering all day. Okay? So we did. We didn't sit in a classroom here. We're all out hunting and gathering for millions of years. Is that fundamental? So, part of the work is to be in class, mark what we're doing, and intentionally decolonize yourself, because if we don't think we're connected to rocks, like blood structures, that's why we have this disconnect with food. We're taught this Newtonian view of the world, this Cartesian view of things being separate. Over there is nature. So then we have this situation between fast food and slow food. Now, when I went to, this is, by the way, kind of a listing of what we're doing here for the next several days. Public speaking. Jennifer and I are going to end up in Springfield, Ohio, at the Gammon House, which is a historical underground railroad museum. That's what we're kind of doing. And you should, I have in here an essay I wrote in a book several years ago called The Harvest Book. You're welcome to one of these if you haven't seen it already. Jennifer put together these flyers It kind of gives, our talk Saturday on the back, our business cards. You're welcome to those, stay in touch, whatever. But, which of my clicker works here? I can change the slides. If not, I'll go here and I'll finger roll it. So again, we're doing this, I'm doing this talk tomorrow about Carver, and in my view, he is an essential guiding light for the future. Okay? Most of you haven't heard of Carver, maybe you have, you haven't been studying him, but in my view, he is essential about looking at a sustainable future. He's essential. Talking about Terra Madre. I've been 7 times. I encourage you all to go. In my view, it's the most revolutionary, transformative experience going on now on the planet. Why? Because it's got food and ag as the intersect. And it brings the whole world together, most of the common people. There's a whole slow food youth network. We gather there, organize events. 2 years ago, we had some students, we had 8 students from Dillard University in Louisiana, in New Orleans. They came there with several of their faculty, and Mark has promised you all, he promised me today at lunch, he's going to be organizing a Terra Madre trip this fall, okay? And you all should put your dibs in, okay? Get your name in there. He's going to be doing. But when I went the first time in 2008 to Terra Madre, this means Mother Herd, my uncle asked me, he said, well, Jimmy, you going to go where? I said, I'm going over to Italy, Torino, this slow food Terra Madre thing. She said, like you all answered, she said, well, what is slow food? I said, what y'all been doing your entire lives. Yes, it's an organization that got birth in Italy in the 90s as they were trying to defeat the incursion of McDonald's into Italy because of all the trade agreements. They call them NAFTA, I call them GRAFTA, that forced these 5 fast food giants, McDonald's, Wendy's, KFC, into Italy. Out of that birth, this resistance movement that they lost because of trade agreements. They said, well, if we're against fast food, we must be for slow food. I said, my aunts, slow food conceptually is what y'all been doing your whole lives. So I hope that as you're continuing to answer that question, because all of you, all of us in here, if you go back into your family lineage, you can say, well, grandma, great-grandma, great-grandpa was in Ohio, wherever you're from, probably were small farmers, and they were doing slow food work. Furthermore, when did we develop what's called agriculture? When did we develop agriculture? Oh, about 15,000 years ago. And what gender was the primary motive force of giving us the gift of agriculture? Was it men or women? It was women, Shia. It was women. Okay? Men were out hunting and gathering, gone sometimes for days and weeks, got eaten up, by different animals, fell over cliffs. Women back home, trying to feed the babies, and said, man, what are we going to do? We couldn't fly these men. They're gone and sometimes come back with nothing. So women gave us the gift of agriculture. So, my point about slow food, what is slow food? What is organic food? And I'll do something new. For 15,000 years, humans farmed organically. Okay? For 15,000 years, with agriculture, we live a life of slow food. Okay? After World War II, the big agribusinesses, who were also the people who were making all the ammunitions, nerve gas, chemical weapons, and whatever else came back home, all these chemical weapons, you can also make fertilizer and herbicides out of, and said, well, we should stop all this farming based upon healthy, natural local inputs and convince people to use all these chemical inputs. And we call that conventional farming. We call organic alternative farming. See how we mess with words? We should be calling the industrial farming method Frankenstein type stuff, abnormal, anti-people, anti-earth. We call it conventional. Years ago, when I was at University of Kentucky organizing these energy conferences, I was bringing in the idea of wind and solar, back in '79. And back then, we were calling the idea of using solar energy, wind energy, oh, that's alternative energy. Right? They call it alternative. I said, wait a minute. The sun shines every day. That's alternative? The wind be blowing, from west coast to east coast, across Africa over here, El Nino and all the whatevers. And wind's alternative? So we mess with words. And then we get to this class at OSU. That dear little Mark is teaching, and we ask students about rocks. We ask about slow food. Because we've forgotten. We've been bamboozled, we've been indoctrinated, we've been intentionally lied to, and we come here and we try to speak some sense of truth. So, as part of my introduction to this whole idea of slow food, remind us, yes, it's a powerful organization. Yes, we've been to Terra Madre, and you all should go. You can go there in person, you can go there virtually, you read more about it. If you do a Google search of Jim Embry, slow food, Terra Madre, I've got probably 60 weblinks up there, giving talks and things like that. It's occurring this year in September. And it's a marvelous experience. I hope you all will find a way to get there. So again, it's a global movement. We have different aspects to it. Arca Taste, I'll get that in a minute. Slow Europe, slow meat, slow fish, earth markets, the indigenous Terra Madre, campaigns around a menu for change, how do you eat that supports life on earth for humans and all the other species. 1,000 gardens or 10,000 gardens in Africa, the Slow Food Youth Network. It's all part of that. And the bottom here is what's called the University of Gastronomic Sciences, which is our university that teaches young people how to think in systems. They have an interest in food and ag. They said, fine, if you come in here, you're going to learn the whole system of food. Seed, planting, production, harvesting, distribution, education, cooking. You learn the whole system. Here at OSU, you get a degree in a particular agricultural discipline, and you don't know nothing about cooking, harvesting, seeds. You know about one thing. And you're convinced, when you come out of here, you're going to be a problem solver. But we're teaching the systems. Go to Terra Madre, you'll get to meet all these wonderful young people who are at the university. And we'll give you some ideas as you're leaving, how to incorporate it. I come back home, I'm doing all kinds of talks about it. This is our last year's theme, was regenerate action. The idea is to take some action. Some of the images, some of the folk who I met up, Sister here was from Detroit, an urban farmer there in Detroit. The final day, we do all types of closing ceremonies. If you do a Google search, Jim Embry, I think it's called Brother from Borneo. This brother here in the middle is from Borneo. He's playing the equipment from bamboo. He's explaining the whole sacredness of bamboo to folks in Borneo. And musical instruments and how it's used all kinds of ways. And then we're dancing. And wherever I go, and Sister Jennifer here is always trying to control me, okay, when I go out, I act a plum fool, okay? So this video shows us, this is the link, it shows us dancing as part of the closing ceremony. It helps you understand some of the fun we have. But again, you're there with people for those 5 days, every country in the world. You're there all day long, like say at Ohio State or Ohio, Columbus Convention Center, there's 5 buildings like that. And you get to be in this room, or bigger rooms even, people all over the world. So for these 5 days, meet with them, workshops, party, dance, whatever. It's an incredible experience. It's an incredible experience. Joy and justice is part of our theme. We're part of Slow Food USA. I was the co-chair of what's called Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Working Group. Out of that, we developed a EIJ manifesto. Out of that, we had the phraseology of joy and justice. The last 2 years I've gone out west on what I call my joy and justice journey in June. Gone for a whole month, in 25 cities, 15 states, 10 or 12 soul food chapters, about 15 Native American tribal reservations, organizations, 10 or 12 federal parks, Grand Canyon, Cloud Forest, Yosemite, food co-ops, about 20 or 30 urban farms. I spoke at University of California, Santa Cruz, and Stanford, and University of Chicago on that whole journey the last 2 years. So being here, we're calling this the Joy and Justice Journey in Ohio, these 5 days. Okay? Now, I asked you earlier about this idea. Also, by the way, these bracelets, as part of our international network through Terra Madre, we have some friends in Tanzania. It's a school, they do lots of art projects. We commissioned them to make about 400 of these bracelets, paid them really well, okay? And then we began selling those as a way to get monies to send BIPOC folks to Terra Madre and Slow Food Nations. It's kind of the idea behind that. That's a school that is in Tanzania. So, Order Terra Madre allows you to make those kinds of international connections. On the continent of Africa, we have 35 countries from Africa are there at Terra Madre. And you can go around and meet all these folks. All the European countries, all the Asian ones, South America, New Zealand. Okay. The minority people come in, it's an incredible experience. So this was my journey this past year. I live in Kentucky, Yellow Dot, went across through Nashville, Memphis, Amarillo, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Grand Canyon, Cloud Forest, Arizona, LA, up the Highway 1, across Salt Lake City, Sacramento, into Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska, and got my way up into the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Chicago, and all back home. That's what I did. 6,000 miles long. Okay, and it was incredible, I must say. I'm going to tell you, for a black man going across country, out west, Montana, don't think I wasn't nervous, okay, about being in some spots. But I had a great time, no mishaps, and 2 years in a row. And what the point is, the theme was joy and justice. And wherever I went, I carried the message like here: slow food, Terra Madre, food justice, food sovereignty. I met, for example, with some folks in Santa Fe. It was called the Santa Fe Indian School, which had been traditionally one of those residential schools that we forced upon indigenous people, trying to strip their culture, and did, their culture, all kinds of trauma. But several years ago, in Santa Fe, the folks who kind of operated the school, the federal government, whatever, decided they'd done enough damage. They called all the tribal elders, 19, and look here, we've known you've done wrong all these years, but look here, we want you all to operate the school now. The tribal elders met, said, okay, they came in, took ownership. So, okay, what we're going to do We're gonna go out here, and we're gonna tear down half the buildings. And the good folks said, well, those are artistic, those are historical buildings. You know, we're giving you the campus, but you want to tear things? He said, yeah, because all kinds of trauma in there that we've experienced. So, I was there at the Tampa Indian School. They're doing some good work there now. Do all kinds of work around Juneteenth. When I was in Minneapolis, went to this restaurant here. It's owned by a good friend, part of the slow food named Sean Sherman. He calls himself the sous chef, not S-O-U-S, but S-I-O-U-X. We hung out this past 2 years ago at Terramont, where he had a wonderful indigenous dinner. If you ever in Minneapolis, go by the restaurant. We prepare what's called pre-colonial food. Pre-colonial food. But it's a wonderful friend. There's a picture of him here. So he brought with him, next slide, I'm sorry. What's great dinner at Terra Madre, indigenous dinner, which is 800-year-old castle. He brought with him other fantastic chefs from around the indigenous diaspora. The brother here, I think, on the left, was indigenous Hawaiian. Okay? And I kind of forget the other folks. This is Sean here in the middle. But anyway, it was a fantastic time. He said, wait a minute, though. You done gone up to Italy, and over there are people from Turtle Island that were there. Yeah. It was up in there. And you go there and you say, wow, how magnificent. It can change your whole outlook on life. You already got great outlooks already. I heard what y'all are doing. The experience there can be transformative. Okay? Here's the appetizer dinner. This is all, again, pre-colonial food stuff. And they're giving, the rundown of what they prepared and what it constitutes. And we're talking about these foodstuffs, though, and the sacred connection with these things. What do folk who are indigenous call corn, beans, and squash?
Sorry, I lost my name. The Three Sisters.
Three sisters. Okay? Three sisters. The Cherokee in Oklahoma now have a sacred blue corn. They call it the grandmother. The folks way up in the Boundary Waters, my friend Winona Duke, who harvest wild rice, they call wild rice the grandmother. Okay? So they're explaining these deeper connections, as I asked you all about who knows how about rocks. And by the way, in Kentucky, we have one of the premier climbing places in the U.S., the River of the Gorge. If y'all been there before, if you haven't, come on down. You can stay with me and go to the gorge. And I've been rock climbing since the 90s, okay? But anyway, this is the image of the things that can happen at Terra Madre. This is my journey in Minneapolis. And this back here is a peace pole. It's a peace pole.
Is that a solar panel?
Yes, it is, okay? So at nighttime, the big dome lights up. These are all, again, friends of mine that I've met over the years, some from Slow Food. But the idea is planting these items that represent we're all one people. We're all from the same source. And they have different languages, okay, on each side. And those kinds of things that I experienced. Here I'm in the Grand Canyon. This right here is, what kind of tree is this? Not quite, they're close, but not quite. Well, like the same fence, it's a redwood tree, okay? And you go on Highway 1, along with, Big Sur, or up in your woods, or wherever, you see these big redwood trees. And the point is, these trees, how old are some of those trees? How old are some of them? How?
Hundreds and hundreds of years old.
Yeah. Huh?
Thousands?
Exactly. Some of them 2,000 and 3,000 years old. And you have other parts of the world, Bay of Africa, who like maybe 6,000, 8,000 years old. The point about this is sustainability. Use the word a whole lot. OSU and most colleges, the sentiment is that humans got this. We're going to figure this stuff out. We're going to create something new. Us as humans. Because trees have no intelligence. Rocks have no intelligence. To me, this image symbolizes that we've got to figure out how to begin talking plants, trees, bees, fungi, to figure this out. There's too much homocentric lens to what we're applying here. More red woods. So I go out there, it's like a spiritual journey, like a spiritual home, redwood forest. I go there, I sit, I hug them, talk to them. I said, look here, y'all have been around 3,000 or 4,000, y'all didn't think of climate change. Okay? I need some help. Help us, go, I figure this stuff out. So that's part of the work that you probably don't get here. No one can probably ask you to go out there and talk to them trees. Okay? Highway 1, I'm trying to get to, I was in Egypt. Anyway, I think I'll, okay. Now, what I do now is kind of open it up for, now here's the Noah. Here's the Noah piece. I'm going to give you all a preview. Now, Jennifer said I'm going to behave. I'm going to give you all a preview of my talk on Saturday morning. It will be recorded. You can always check it out. I'm asking the same two questions of this larger audience about rocks and about Noah. Because we're over there in Newark, Ohio. We're in Newark, Ohio. I have a slide image. It takes the word new and separates it. It's got new, and it's got ark. New ark. Saying humans have been dogging the earth for a long time. We've caused things to be extinct. Some folks say that we're even facing what's called the sixth extinction. Okay? What we're saying, the Christian biblical story of Noah and the ark was a message for future generations. For us. He's saying, how well are you going to be a Noah? How well are you going to be working, studying to help preserve the earth's great biodiversity? So wait a minute, Embry. Now Mark said, you was smart, intelligent, whatever. And you messing with us now, talking about we got to be Noahs. You sure do. That's part of the work. I'm going to be over there at Oprah, raising things like that. I have some images, I'm saying that we all, if I come here and ask you next year, before I even get out the word, what show you going to say, dog, my name is Noah. Your name is Noah. Okay? You challenge me. I accept the challenge. Because in the year 2100, when your great-great-great-grandchildren, your name again, brother? Jacob, when you're 2100, when your great-great-great-grandchildren, grandsons, look back at you. Great-grandpa Jacob did the right things. You still have air to breathe. Not using, some contraptions to filter air. We've got great water in the rivers here. We have this great biodiversity. Stuff and foods is what they could say. Or they could say, great-grandma Alana, they could say, she didn't do the right thing. Because we're breathing in all these contraptions. The water, the rivers in Ohio have dried up. We're fighting each other for water. We only have one kind of corn. So I'm suggesting that I'm trying to put away from the saying as you're thinking about your classes, your coursework, your matriculation here at OSU. Think about how can I become a good ancestor for those who are on their way? Which is a bigger question than what you're told is an important question for you. I'm saying that the role of students, when I was in the 60s, we were protesting, taking over buildings, being put out of school, all kinds of things that we were doing. Because we were trying to change the university. And you all being here is a testament to what we did. Because back then, I was in UK, where OSU was the same way. It's like, look at all white folk. What's all white men? Okay. And we changed that. We were protesting the sports teams. Anyway, last thought, then I'm open for questions. The universities are the most powerful entity on the earth. More powerful than the U.S. government, more powerful than the UN, more powerful than big corporations, more powerful than Google, and all of that. They're the most powerful entity on the earth. And Dean has said, Professor Mark told us that OG Embry, he just kind of goes off, on tracks and says things that don't make no sense. Don't make no sense at all. Where you are now at OSU, and globally, the university's most powerful entity on the earth. Here's why. Because all the governments, all the corporation, all the higher education leadership goes through where? Higher education. All right? That's where you learn what to care for. That's where you learn how your values should be manifest. That's where you learn your worldview. That's where you learn the sacredness of food, or you don't learn that. Okay? My point is, if we had this shift in higher education, it could become radically transformative. I recommend that if you don't already own, You Can't Steal Mine, okay? This book here is called Planet You. I've written about two friends of mine who are from Canada, and they work over at the University of Vancouver, way over here, right? Called Planet You. It's a book it's a book that analyzes currently higher education. It says right now, the way universities operate at OSU, the earth doesn't matter. The conclusion. The earth doesn't matter to what is coming out of the university. He also puts in there a kind of a script of what can happen to make it different. And that's your role as students. Your role is, I call it, to be the Imagineers of the future. Whatever category you come out, whatever you study, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you're studying, where you're from, what department. Because we all eat, and we all have to change how we're thinking about food and the earth, wherever we are. So, you all are knowers, and you're Imagineers. And Jennifer and I are here to encourage you, to be of support in any kind of way. Here's our information, cards, email, text. And we do all that TikTok and Instagram and X. We do all that too. Okay, I'm through. Questions, comments? Yes, go ahead, jump in.
Okay. So you were talking about at the beginning when we talked about the agriculture student, like being an agriculture student, you come in, you learn your one thing, and you come out and you don't know anything in the context of everything else. I came into OSU as a sustainable agriculture major. I was really excited about it. I went into the program and I really felt like it was lacking in interdisciplinary learning. I tried to build my own major. I would hit a million roadblocks. I wanted to study agriculture and anthropology and art and like do all of these things. I ended up in that major because I was like, I just want to do stuff with my hands and this is the best way I can do it. But how do you begin to like, when you're interested in all the intersections between things, or you're interested in like pulling all these things together, where you're hitting these like systemic roadblocks of the university, like
Yes.
how do you approach without like, I'm gonna have been in school for like 5.5 years by the time I graduate because I tried to study everything.
I understand.
And then I'm gonna go to grad school and be in school for even
I was
longer.
the same way like you years ago. Same way. There's no easy answer solution. Again, 500 years ago, within Europe in particular, arose this way of thinking, oftentimes called Newtonian Cartesian view of the world. It was a way of thinking that humans hadn't thought before, of things being separate. Over there is nature. And over here are humans. Hierarchical thinking. The earth is a clock, a machine you can, devastate, mess with. It was a way of thinking. And we designed the whole world based upon the Newtonian Cartesian view of the world. We devised curriculum, OSU campus structures. It's all based upon that way of thinking. Now, in the 30s, along came the likes of Einstein, Madame Curie, Niels Bohr, Max Planck, blah, blah, whatever, around what's called quantum mechanics, quantum physics, that said that old idea of things being separate isn't really true. We're all from the same source. We're all, at times, write about myself saying, I'm just stardust condensed in human form. We're all from the same source. We're all interconnected. We're all interdependent. But right now, Ohio State, most of the universities, other than ours in Italy, they structure everything based upon an archaic science. We haven't yet, if you ask the question, because the phones are the cause of quantum science, Einstein, Niels Bohr, they was. That's why we have phones. It was transformative. You should be asking the president of the university, the department chairs, when are you going to teach and structure based upon modern science? When will you do that? We're hungry for a curriculum, a college systems thing, quantum science thing. Are some of the questions that you all can be asking. I'm not saying it's going to be for you and me the solution. But for me, it meant having to read voraciously. I was a student at university back in the 60s and 70s. I wanted to be a Britannica. This is a real thought I had. I want to know as much stuff as an A to Z in Britannica. Okay? So I would have all my school books. Okay, I was pretty good. I was pretty fine, pre-med nature. I knew there was something, I had a whole bunch of books to learn about the rest of the world. I'm still doing that. Okay? I might read 3 or 4 or 5 books at a time. I'm on the highway, listening to books, I'm always trying to absorb stuff. So part of the role for me was, it's a personal commitment to bring to myself this lens. In America, we're taught, we're dumbed down to, we're bamboozled called faculty, and we may have, through K through 12 and get to college, K through 17, maybe a worldview, maybe it's 45 degrees, maybe 90 degrees. That's what we're taught. We view the world in that way. So then my desire was to go from 90 to 120, 180, 70, 360. What do we need now? So the word attainability. Use it a lot. I'm not sure how to define. Use the word a lot now. It's a buzzword. We've got to have 360 lens. to create what I call a truer form of sustainability. We can't do it with a 90-degree lens. Einstein said in one of his quotes, one of his great quotes, he says, you can't solve today's problems based upon the way of thinking that caused them. So wait a minute now, what is OSU teaching? Are they teaching a way of thinking that caused what we have to do? Sure are. This is where we are. This is where we are. And I spent 20 years at university. I do all kinds of work with folks all around the country, Princeton, Harvard, Spelman, all kinds of work I do with them. Just recognizing where we are. Humans are the youngest species on the planet. Okay? We've been around, maybe 3, 5, 6 billion years. Earth's been around 4.5 billion years. Everything else came before us. The Earth was wise. She said, well, the humans are going to be real weak. And have all kinds of things in place for humans to come along and survive and thrive. So our work is about species maturation. I mean, no one has said you here as a freshman and said, well, Lauren, as a student, we want you to think about how you can contribute to our maturation as a species. Okay? So we all can contribute. There's no more wonderful time to be alive than now. As humans, we face for many years all kinds of challenges. But right now, on the global scene, what we're faced with never has been faced before. Okay? You say, wow, I need to be alive and halfway sane and be a part of this maturation as a species. And there's joy in that. There's also commitment of how do we bring ourselves to a greater learning. I'm saying this, we can be in consultation, we can be in communication, see what I've been doing my whole life to try to get myself away from this narrow view of the world to a much wider lens. It's an everyday kind of effort. It's a joyful effort. When you get to Terra Madre, I'm thinking like, wow, I get to go over here and the whole world is there. And we're all like kindred spirits and we're conversing and we're networking. And I got friends coming from Trinidad for my birthday. You can come down April 20th. Well, I met last year, 2 years ago, at Terra Madre. I got friends in Burkina Faso who are trying to get the birthday as well. I got friends in Belize who are coming for the birthday in April. Okay? So we need young people that you're doing your work wherever you are, let's say local, in Ohio. We need you all to have also much larger global sensibility and some global networks. Okay? Well, you have me already, students who are here from all over the world. But we need that to help.
Yeah.
I can give you a whole bunch of books to read. One great book is a book by another friend, Fritjof Capra, a book called The Web of Life. It's a great book, critique on the Newtonian Cartesian view of the world, introduces quantum science. Capra's last name, Web of Life. Incredible book to kind of begin. I can send you, if you go to my website, sustainlife.org, Jennifer put together, a link tree page as well. But that's what's happening. Other questions, thoughts? Thank you for the question. Mm-hmm.
So as you've traveled around to different places, how have you seen different cultures impact different people's understanding of the slow food movement and different ways that they interact with it?
Well, within the Terra Madre experience, people come from 180 different countries. And within the countries, there are different peoples coming. Okay. Like in Brazil, we have people who are more from Spain who live there, Japan, from Africa, and we have people there who are more indigenous, who've been there thousands of years. We're in the Amazon, for example. Okay? And within the Amazon, there might be 30 different peoples within there. Okay? But they come to the Terra Madre again. So we have to honor those cultural traditions. And the soul food movement, the Terra Madre honors that. That's one thing that I say is revolutionary. So it does that. And we do it in a variety of ways. I didn't really talk about here the archetypes where we're cataloging plant seeds, animal breeds, trying to make sure that we're preserving different. I have an image I'm showing Saturday. It's about cultivated care, about animals that we had the effort of domesticating. And we go back almost as the rise of agriculture, dogs in particular. But all over the world, there are different animals that we associate ourselves with. And so I want to slow food, do all we can to help preserve those agricultural foodways. That make sense? Okay? And we do a variety of things that way. In the United States, you go out west, we call them the Navajo people. They prefer Dene. They were introduced with the Churro sheep by the Spanish 500 years ago. All the blankets they made come from the Churro sheep. Mark can back me up. I'm just not lying about this. So we're trying to make sure that we're preserving that animal breed. Okay? I think it was in India, Ethiopia, there are some people there who are indigenous people in those lands that I'm a beekeeper. I got no hives. But there are people who gather honey from wild bees. It's either in Ethiopia, people there, and they've been harvesting wild honey from wild bees for thousands of years. And it's a whole spiritual experience. They make ropes out of vines, and they hang them by rock climbing. They hang them down these cliffs. Okay? They go down with the ropes, and they're praying. Songs of like honoring the bees. Thank you, Mama, the bees, okay, for honey. And we won't going to take our share. And thank you again for allowing us to be here. And it's a whole prayerful thing. You cut the honey off, put it in the basket, and then take it up. So we're helping them not only do some agro-tourism, but also maybe even put some value added. Maybe a jar of honey that's wild. It's like $50, wow. The point is, we're trying to honor different cultures based upon their various cultural foodways. It can't be from the typical American, European construct. Does that help?
Yes.
So we're doing that again. I just go get some incredible things globally. Again, find ways to connect either through Mark, who's the president of the local Columbus food chapter. We have slow food youth networks on many college campuses. Read up on, watch video. If you can't get to Italy next fall, plan on going in 2 years, 2026. Okay? You can go there, it's free. You go as a USA delegate, as a sponsored delegate. So you pay your way over there, and you get there, everything's covered. Lodging's covered, you know, transportation, 3 meals a day, it's all covered. Now, where else can you go internationally and say, oh, come on, we got your lunch, transportation, we got your food. Think about that now. It costs about $1,000 to fly over there. I think I'm over time. Any other questions? I'm going to leave one last time. I'm going to shut up. The idea of your role. Don't believe me. I'm always lying about stuff. Look up the butterfly metamorphosis, okay, and what occurs when the butterfly goes from the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the butterfly stage. There's a term called imaginal cell. I-M-A-G-I-N-A-L, imaginal cell. What the imaginal cell does, in the chrysalis stage, the cells that were the caterpillar all dissolve. Right now, humans are at the caterpillar stage of our maturation. We're like caterpillar, know it all, pooping everywhere, eating stuff up, okay, on one flower, okay? But in that chrysalis stage, They're imaginal cells. What they do, they go about reordering the cells to think about, you're going to do something different. They go to Bravo and say, sister girl, you were the feet in the caterpillar, and now you're going to be a wing. The wing? What the wing do? I don't quite know, but I mean, your ass going to be a wing. Okay? And they come, to Highway, and say, well, like, you was the butt of the caterpillar, and now you're going to be the proboscis. And you get to go around and taste the sweet nectar and honey, nectar and pollen. That's where we are as a species. So, I'm telling young people and older people, maybe you were chosen to be the national cell. Okay? You're called, Kyle, you're called to be the national cell. Ain't by ego. By being called by the ancestors, by the Spirit, being called to do the work. And part of our calling, and we can answer it in different ways. I think that's the calling. Meet people now. I'm 24. We need those imaginal cells to help us mature.